Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
We're riding through Gotham with the podcast crew. Bat signals up, yeah, we're on the move. Talking Batman tales, we're telling what's true. Gotham Knights breaking down each clue. TBOF, bring the heat. Talking Batman ain't that sweet. Tune in for the crime and lore. Batmanimation, we want more. Laugh, the Bane's mighty roar, Arkham secrets and so much more. Dive into shadows, legends reborn through the darkest night. The baddest swarm, TBOF, bringing the heat. Talking Batman ain't that sweet. Tune in for the crime and lore. Batmanimation, we want more.
The Adventures of Batman, welcoming you to the new adventures of Batman.
Welcome to Batmanimation, a BOF podcast exploring the animated adventures of the Caped Crusader. I'm your host, Ryan Lauer. With me, as I wouldn't say as always, I think I'm in a habit of always saying as always, but recently here is the head honcho, the gumbo guru, Bill, Jett Ramey. Bill, how are you?
That's right. I'm good. Did you hear?
I'm glad you slipped into that.
Look, I'm now Pete is he's almost ruined this for me. Let's ride, because he goes, "Well, that reminds me of." He goes, "Remember that? What's up? What's up? That Bud Light,
the Budweiser.
Yeah, back in the day."
Yeah.
And so now it's because that got obnoxious back then, because everybody was doing it. But I'm trying to block that out.
Budweiser made some what do you want to say? Some catchy campaigns. What they had was they had the Budweiser Frogs, but then what's outlasted them both are the Clydesdales, and just the very comforting imagery of the Clydesdales. But what has got me, and has been getting me on these social hours, when Pete's on, is Pete, I think, just keeps leaning even more into like. This exaggerated. So when you said something, when you guys got on the "was up," and you said you'd have to stop doing the "let's ride," I'm like, it can't go away. It's gotta stick around. We can forget about the "was up" connection, but if nothing else,
I'll forget about it.
Keep going. Let's ride.
Yeah.
Yes. Peter Vera, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
On this here Batmanimation, though, we're near to the end of that first season of Batman Caped Crusader. And today we're talking about episode 9, The Killer Inside Me. Now, this episode, like all of them, dropped on August 1st on Amazon Prime. It was written by Jace Ricci, who actually wrote the very first episode of Batman Caped Crusader. He also wrote the screenplay for Merry Little Batman. He wrote the screenplay for Batman the Doom That Came to Gotham. He's written some other DC stuff, and some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episodes. So this guy knows what he's doing. I trust him. It was directed by Christopher Berkeley, who did the episode 3, Kiss of the Catwoman, episode 6, Night Ride.
That's right.
And he also was a co-director for The Doom That Came to Gotham, as well as some episodes of The Batman. So I think like a pattern that we've seen with like writers and directors of this first season, Bill, is that these are experienced Batman folk. Yeah. Well, men and women, because there's even some a female
folk
writer. What? Gosh, some folk. I forget.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on her name right now, but some experienced folk. And like we've been saying on Batmanimation, going through Caped Crusader, these are for the most part standalone episodes, but there is, there's through lines, there's threads
Mm-hmm.
and I think no more apparent than, as you and Javi talked about last episode, the end of last episode, with we get the Harvey Dent turn, the acid in the face. And then I
Mm-hmm.
do believe the connective tissue of that final scene, this episode and the next episode, it could almost be just like a Harvey Dent 1 hour special.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I thought that was the Harvey Dent thing has been building
Yeah.
throughout this series, right?
Yeah. Like these wouldn't have
Almost,
the effect if you didn't
yeah,
have him showing up throughout.
yeah. And it's not like it's been a focus on him, but as we've progressed, he starts out kind of like I think I said in the first, he is kind of a hole and
Mm-hmm.
ambitious, and you can't really get a gauge on. Okay, I wouldn't say he's uh like Bullock and Flass.
Mm-hmm.
He's not in the pocket of, well, at that point, of Rupert Thorne. He's not dirty, but the decisions he makes, even professionally, are to benefit him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
his ambition to be mayor kind of gets the best of him. He's out for himself.
Yeah.
Selfish, ambitious combination. And he's not the most likable person, but he's in it throughout. He's kind of like the Penguin. It's like Colin Farrell's the Penguin in the Batman. Colin Farrell's like, oh, I've only worked, I'm trying to do an Irish accent. What am I doing here? Uh, uh, he said I only like worked 8 days or 10 days, but he felt like he was in the whole damn movie.
Yeah.
And you watch this, and Dent is in the whole damn series.
Yeah.
And this, these last 3 episodes are, yeah, I'm with you on that. It's like a Dent focused. You could watch these 3 and kind of go, yeah, okay, I got a little movie here, or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it.
Get your fill of Harvey Dent. I think
Yeah.
so. Some things that you'd mentioned with him is, so even though I don't think I never got the vibe, I never felt like he was slimy. There
Yeah.
was questionable motives on some
Yes.
things that he did, but like I never disliked him, up to this point either, though. It feels like, damn it, what are you doing? Because we all know where he ends up. We all know
Yeah.
he ends up as Two-Face, but it's like, he makes some moves. You're like, what are you doing? But then he does have little moments that are almost like a little glimmer of hope of like, okay,
Yeah.
like this is the as Gilda says in Long Halloween, my Apollo. Like those little
Yeah.
moments of that Harvey Dent. But he makes some moves that seem, for someone that doesn't have strong enough will, would do, because they're looking at it selfishly, looking at it, where's my benefit, my gain, and he wants this mayoral position, so he's
Yeah.
trying to find a way that he can lock that in, and then don't need to rehash because you and Javi already talked about last episode, but it's like, but what really screwed him over was him actually doing the right thing last episode,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
it came at the wrong time for him to do that. It was after he'd already accepted, the money from Thorne, and you two-time a mob boss. It's not gonna go well.
Yeah. It's yeah, I wouldn't say he's unlikable. He is a bit of an a-hole, but like he's, like with Barbara,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, let's, we can work together. Or was it Montoya? He's like, let's work together, and we make a big, get a lot of publicity, and must have been Renee,
I don't
believe,
know.
early in an early episode.
Yeah, I
The
forget.
point is, he wanted to bring a case up just for the publicity
Yes.
of it. Not
Yeah.
that was first, and justice was 2nd, if you will. And he's clearly not, like in Long Halloween, and we've seen in other year one, then he is the White Knight,
Yeah.
completely good. And I think he's good, but he's the ambition has got the best of him at this when we meet him in Cape Crusader, this version of Harvey Dent.
I think the episode opens in an interesting way that I think you have instantly thought like, okay, this is a dream. This is a vision where he won the mayor position, and then it devolves into that. And it's like, I think that this episode does a really good job of showing that inner battle with Harvey. And like from the beginning, I think all the way up through the end too, which is why I think like that's, what do you want to say? That's something that I think people latch onto for Two-Face, and why they like this story of Two-Face is because I feel like that's been maybe since the animated series, it's ditched the complete one-sided flip a coin, completely bad guy. And they do this, this duality struggle, where you have the moments of good Harv showing up, quickly stomped down by bad Harv doing the bad things. And I think that you see it like in this episode throughout. And I really like the way that they did that. I think it's balanced really well.
I would say that this Harvey Dent Two-Face and the Harvey Dent Two-Face from The Dark Knight they're cousins.
Yeah.
There's some similarities there with Two-Face. Maybe not as much Dent,
Yeah, I agree.
But with Two-Face, yes, he's going out to get the people who did him wrong. And it's I like if they had made him a mob boss for season 2, I don't think like that wouldn't have worked for this one either. Just like Aaron Eckhart's Harvey Dent becoming a mob boss wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. Why would he have had to come back in another movie?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made sense for the story. Yeah. And I'm not implying anything about what happens in the next episode of Cape Crusader. But yeah, I'm with you on it. It's not a revenge tale, but kind of like, and he ditches. So for his like motivations of this stuff, I'll take it in a couple parts. First off is he and Bruce out at dinner. Then it's him trying to track down the guy that did the acid throwing to him. And then obviously it's at Thorne's mansion at the end. So I like stories where Harvey and Bruce have like a history of like they're allies, they're friends. I don't, it's interesting. It's not my favorite when Harvey is like Flash Thompson in Spider-Man, where like Harvey loves the superhero but does not like the guy who plays the superhero. I don't like that as much, but it would totally make sense, and it would keep Bruce off of Harvey's radar of being Batman. But I do like, it surprised me in this that it's the route that they went. They planted seeds that Bruce and Harvey know each other and get along well in this first season. I do like, even though it's a little uncomfortable in watching, I do like the scene of Bruce trying to do a good thing and taking Harvey out in the public. But it's just like how Harvey's acting in public.
Let me talk about that for a second with you. I've watched this about maybe 3-4 times. I've come to kind of, my interpretation is Bruce did that more as for Batman than he did as Bruce Wayne, friend of Harvey Dent, because it was like to try to figure out who did it, who did that to Harvey and why. Because then it's, there's like a little semi-confrontation with Alfred and Batman where Alfred kind of says, you pushed him too far. I'm paraphrasing,
Yeah.
And he's like,
yeah.
I have to find out who did this,
Yeah.
And he's seen it, as black and white, as opposed to, and I've also, and going back to episode 1 with the Penguin, the Oswaldo Cobblepot version, not Oz Cobb with that fantastic series that's playing on HBO now. Don't get me going on that. So anyway, that Bruce is a fake friend to Harvey. A little bit. Yeah.
And I don't want to believe that, but I know it's the truth.
Yeah. It's like like, oh, that crazy stuff we did. All those, and we saw these two sisters and all this, and it's kind of like, okay, Bruce is, since he's like full on Batman. I think he's kind of there's a little bit of a kindred spirit relationship between this Bruce Wayne and the one in the Batman with Robert Pattinson, in my opinion. But it's like all of that is just a bit of a ruse to further the Batman mission, is to, to keep, never want anybody to believe that Bruce Wayne, because they really play up the, him being a cad and just this, this like falling all, it's not a party till you fall off the ship, stuff like that. So I
now I'm gonna have to rewatch it and think of that angle, because I honestly didn't have that. I don't think I had that angle in my head watching it.
Because I think he felt bad, because there's also, I think this is the beginning of, there's a little bit of a arc and a little bit of epiphany for Batman over this, between this episode and the next. And he does say it's Batman. He had gotten beat up. He was concussed, and Alfred is trying to get him to stay there, and he's like, if I am the reason why this is happening to Harvey, I have to, he's doing, or maybe if I did push him too far, I gotta save him. I gotta find out. So he's like feeling bad that maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have taken him out in public, and it just triggered all of this. So anyway, my interpretation, just throwing it out there to see what you thought.
I hadn't considered that part, but it makes sense that it's almost a little it's gathering intel, because Bruce Wayne is never doing anything just to be like an average citizen. He's not, always on the mission.
He's not going out to have a good time, have a good nice dinner, and enjoy Harvey's company.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's
tracks.
There's a Batman purpose behind the whole damn thing.
On Harvey's end with that is, and I think that it's another thing that's done really well, is that he's having, this internal struggle with just constantly, what do you want to say? Not aware, but worried of what everybody in that restaurant's thinking and saying about him and everything, to where, he does just like flip out, and he takes a walk. And is this when he takes off the wrap, and that's the first time we see the accident? Okay, number one, as a fan of Batman lore for years, were you absolutely pissed off that Two-Face happened to the right side of his face and not his left?
It ruined everything.
Okay.
And
I
to the
wondered.
point where I barely could get through the rest of the series, because they ruined Two-Face.
Yeah.
by having the scar on
Okay.
the wrong. Yeah, that's the wrong side for sure.
Yeah.
If it's not on the left side,
Yeah.
Ryan,
Then
it ain't
it's
two.
wrong.
It's not Two Face.
Yeah, sorry. As a left-hander here,
Yeah,
I was, I was really, really happy that, that they switched it up and put it on the right side
yeah.
because us lefties have been getting
Okay.
shat on for years. So the people that don't have the benefit of seeing the screen right now can see both of our tongues firmly planted in cheek.
Yeah.
But secondly, what do you think of the look of the scarred side for this series on Harvey?
I think it's like the. I mean, his face was messed up from
Yeah,
acid. I didn't expect it to be green like in the 50s or pink,
yeah.
reddish pink like in some of the comics and dark Dark Knight, no, not the Dark Knight.
Which for,
Batman Forever.
for the
You know what
record, I don't have problems with those. Of course, Batman Forever, like
No, no, no.
it's a fun punching bag for some people of how it looked, but also I'm like, I don't really care. We're also talking about a guy whose half of his face is really is a monster. Like that's not too realistic. I don't care. But yeah, I was really curious how it would look through this lens,
It looks like
of Cape Crusader. And
they're going. I know it's animation. They want to make it look as close to like acid burn in real life in animation as is it
yeah,
possibly. I mean, but there is a little bit of like the hair on that side
yeah.
is turned gray or whatever. I mean, I
I
figured
think
it would just eat the hair away if it was, but
it's you look at him and you're like, yeah, it's Two-Face. I mean, plain and
yeah, I
simple
mean,
to me, it's like, yeah, it's Two-Face. I like it's something different. I
if you
think
showed me that picture, if you just showed
Mhm.
me a picture of animated picture or still of this Two Face and said, and before I knew anything about this and said, what is this? I'd say, well, that's Two Face.
Yeah,
And like I didn't expect him to be blue either, a blue face
yeah,
like in Batman the Animated Series. So
yeah.
I, it's Two Face. Didn't
Works
face
for
me
me.
at all. Absolutely.
Works for me. I could see, like you just said, see a picture of this, an image of it, and it's um it would be like, oh yeah, that's Caped Crusader,
Mm-hmm.
also. Kind of like sometimes when artists they start you can look at an artist image without context and be like, oh, that's Kelly Jones. Oh, that's Lieber Mayo. Like you can instantly recognize it's like, okay, they have their own Two-Face version and it's easily identifiable. Cool. I'm all for it. I'm with it.
Yeah.
What they did kind of ditch, they they nodded to it once when he's in the alley with the guy. So let's flip a coin. They ditched the coin flip.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think? Did you have any thoughts with that he wasn't using a coin to make decisions?
Not really. I mean, you bring it up now, and I go, let me think. No, didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they do mention it,
Hmm.
and then he just says that basically, to hell with the coin. You're
Yeah.
right. We won't leave it. We won't. We'll just, I'm just
And
going to
I
take
think
justice. I will do, and shoots the guy in the leg.
and that's where if Batman didn't dress up in the bat suit, then I would be like, okay, well, I think Batman has to be in a bat suit. For some of these villains, like I'm not a complete purist where it's like I have to have every single thing a certain way. It's like, okay, what's this version? And for here to me, like in noticing was when he said like to hell with the coin or whatever. It's like, okay, so he's not using the coin here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like this version, he just doesn't use a coin. It's not now if he didn't have half his face scarred, and uh he didn't have the accent or something, then I'd start to be like, okay, well now I don't think we're necessarily Two-Face. It's like Oswalda. Okay, I don't kind of like the name of Oswalda, but also kind of just got over it. It's like whatever. The name changed a little different, but like okay, this version of Penguin, that's this world's version of Penguin.
Hmm.
So many more similarities to what we know of Penguin than not. Okay, this
Yeah.
Two-Face, so many more similarities to the Two-Face that we pretty much know than not. The only thing is that he ditched the coin. Okay, like it's not a big deal, a big deal to me.
It's he starts out with, it starts here. He is going to use it, and then he talks himself out of it, along with it, you know, the guy that he saved, basically. But he's still holding back. Like he shoots this guy in the leg, doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
They just leave you the boom, the gunshot, and you go, "Wow, that some bitch went and killed that guy." He's
Mhm.
really, and then you find out because he's talking to Montoya, the victim, the mugger, wannabe mugger. He's talking to Montoya, going, um, and he got shot in the leg, but
Which
it,
also gets you a
yeah,
little on Two-Face's side just because it's like,
yeah,
well, it's not
yeah,
like he just went up to some random citizen and did this. It's like Montoya said, "Are you sure, or is this like basically another mugging that you're gonna do yet again?"
yeah,
So it's like, basically it's what you do is you mug people.
yeah,
And it's like, okay, well, this guy's a bit of a dick. So
yeah, yeah,
good on you, Harvey.
yeah, but yeah, and so and there is like some sympathy
Hmm.
for what he's doing. But it progresses. I mean, then he just kicks it up a level, and there's a point of like I he sets the fucking room on fire with those
Yeah.
people in there. The guy that
Well,
scarred him,
and well, right
and
before that,
yeah,
because his mission is tracking down the guy that scarred
yeah,
him,
yeah,
and and then work his way to Thorn, and he tracks this guy down in a bar, in which
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
guy was gonna
yeah,
get off scot-free, but then because he felt belittled, and he's on the ground, and people are laughing at him. That then he
yeah,
says that doesn't he say freak?
yeah,
He's like, "You freak," and it's like you can see it's Harvey, and it's like, ugh. And then you hear, which I think is done pretty well, like
yeah,
we're outside of the building, people running out, and you hear the guy screaming.
yeah,
Well, then we end up, yeah, like you just said, in the hotel, the guy's tied up, and that's where because still at this point it's like Harvey's going and taking out bad guys. It's okay, like
yeah.
your idea is good, your method is not.
Like
Similar
that's what I
to
said.
Dark Knight of
Yeah,
like you're going to get the bad people, which is good. It's just the way you're doing it is bad.
yeah.
Uh,
It's like I said, I was going to say, and I got side. Well, I didn't get sidetracked. Whatever.
it's all connected.
220, 221, whatever it takes. I knew that was coming. So just,
Of course. There you go.
yeah.
Take a shot.
There's sympathy
Hmm.
for what he's doing because he's not going out and just killing and going on a crime rampage against innocent people. He's taking out, they're all bad people, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's like he does, I'm just dishing out justice, what I've always done. I'm just the, he tells Thorne, I'm just the judge, jury, and executioner now,
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so you got that to where you just got to, you're going, okay, you're killing these people and they're not good, but what you're doing, like you said, what you're doing is the wrong way,
Yeah.
Harvey. You kind of you've lost it. But it seems like a progression of like maybe he didn't want to. I don't know if he was planning on killing people, and he's like, he said, I killed those people, And I do
Yeah.
like with Diedrich Bader, the back and forth
Yeah.
between
It's a really good job.
Harvey and Two-Face,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is, which obviously, thinking about it and saying it out loud, it's like, well, but like this is his, what do you want to say? The most work in an episode for him at this point, and it's because he is like you just said too, of like he is bouncing from the Harvey Dent and Two-Face voice, the inner battle. And I'd be curious to just, this is one of those things of I would have liked to have seen him in the booth? Is it something where he is like, is he only saying the Harvey lines and then like, all right, now go back and now just do the Two-Face lines, or is he really going back and forth of like da da da,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, just be like Josh Duhamel when he did it for the Long Halloween animated movies. Like I would have liked to see how he did that because there is a you can tell it's the same person, but they're going drastic
Yeah.
shifting in their tones. And I just think that would be, I don't know, I'm a nerd. That would be kind of cool to see. But I think he does a really good job voicing both with that hotel scene. Interesting to me. So I binged the whole thing on August 1st, and then I just gradually
Mm-hmm.
one by one
Mm-hmm.
rewatched for Batmanimation. And watching this time, when Batman arrives outside of the building, there's the fire, you hear the guy
Mm-hmm.
screaming, and Harvey gets in the car. I feel like we are accustomed to Batman goes to the building.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get the bad guy later. And here he ditches that and goes straight for Harvey, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Hey, y'all, it's Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. Let's take a quick pause in this podcast for these words from our sponsor.
And I'm
He
not saying that
fig-
Batman's a
yeah.
murderer or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
just like, to me, I think we are used to he will go to the building. Then, if the guy is dead, he sees that. Then he goes to try to catch up with Harvey. But here, it's a direct go
It's
for
a
Harvey.
lot of angles here. A lot of ways to interpret it. I mean, you could, and maybe they're all fair. Was it his desire, his desire to save Harvey outweigh trying to go save a bad guy
Hmm.
who was it was probably futile. I mean, let's think about it. He had poured
Yeah.
whiskey, he had poured bourbon all over the
And
guy.
and he was
You know?
tied up in a
Yeah,
chair, and the
yeah,
place is on fire. Odds, you shake a magic 8 ball, it says outlook not so good.
yeah. And I don't know if you want to go as far as to say, is there a little bit of, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you, there.
Hmm.
I just, to me, it was a futile situation. Harvey speeding away, and Batman goes there.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that before you brought it up. That it's a conundrum. It's a conundrum.
Yeah. It's interesting. I could see now, as long as somebody respectfully, not if somebody was being a dork about it and overreacting. Like I could get somebody's point of view and be like, you see, like the Batman that I know would have gone into the building first to try and
Yeah.
see if even if it's a bad guy, he saves lives. I mean, you know what? I can't
Yeah.
disagree with that. It didn't bother me at all though that he went after Harvey. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't take away a grade point or anything for me. It's just like, okay, I think there's two angles to it, Bill. Look at that.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it's all connected.
There's two sides to that coin.
There is. There's two sides to that coin. We get another, which this will really pay off in the discussion next Batmanimation about the season finale. But there's another good. I really like the Batcave scenes in this
Mm-hmm.
series. It's
Mm-hmm.
so minimal and simple that's why I like it a lot. And it's adding and building to, and you already referenced it about like that's where Alfred brings up he brings up the point of like kind of like Bruce may have pushed Harvey to this. Bruce may have pushed
Mm-hmm.
Harvey to this. And Batman is very like he shuts this shit down with old Pennyworth
Yeah.
throughout the season completely. But next episode, not so much. And so
Mm-hmm.
light that firecracker when we get there. I just want to mention I like that scene.
Is this the whole thing with Harvey that we see in this episode? Is this the beginning? Is this the cause of Batman's Bruce Wayne, his shift, his opening up. I don't know. Is that the word he? I don't want to get to that
Yeah.
when he calls
I don't know the
Pennyworth by
cause
a different name, but I think this really makes him question some of his motives, and the way he
so
operates.
he's pushing that big rock up the hill. This might be the last big push before the rock goes over the hill. I
Yeah.
think back with the Gentleman Ghost episode, Alfred in that, I think may have gotten it started for him.
Yeah, yeah. I would agree with that as well. But he's Alfred calls him in the Batmobile from the Batcave, and he's like,
Yeah.
I don't have time for this. You're wasting my time,
Shut up, Alfred. Excuse me. So big finale here. Also really funny to watch this after watching that series premiere of the Penguin, and that there's like a cement block driving a car into a mansion.
Yeah.
I was like, look at this. This is,
Yeah.
what do they call it? Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Because it's all connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I like this. I think it's a really cool, like, just period across the board. Really cool scene of Thorne and all of his goons and Harvey taking them out one by one. When it's mob, like, yeah, it's gonna be like a battle zone. People are gonna get shot and killed. Like, it happens. Let it happen. And Harvey's taking people down, and then of course a Batman smashing through the window. Always, like, I always welcome that. Give me more of that. That's always awesome. Really great, like, more Bader as Two-Face in this, going back and forth.
Yeah. I think that he was at the furthest point he was ever going to get, because before Batman does crash down, Thorne's kid jumps in front of Thorne.
Yeah.
And he's got the gun, and he's always, he says, always like a 2-for-1 special. And then, Batman comes in. And so prevents that. And then you got to ask, would he have shot both of them? Would he have shot the kid? Was he that far gone at that point? If Batman hadn't crashed through the skylight, as Batman does. Because it's not Batman if there's not a crash through the skylight scene. Would he have killed a kid?
Yeah. My mind says no.
Who was,
but we'll never know.
But who was completely innocent?
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them were bad guys. This was, this is just a kid. Now, he may end up being an asshole in life later on. He may still do, he's Rupert Thorne's kid, but he's still a kid at this point. It just seems like at that point, he's like, F it. I'm all the way in now.
Yeah.
2-for-1 special. So
I don't know what made me just think of this, but earlier in the episode, a quick discussion. I think it's Flass, Bullock. I can't remember now. Is it Montoya or is it Bart? I think it's Montoya. And they're talking about Harvey. And this is where I think, like, the door's still open for Bullock to come to the right side, because I think Flass is gone. That guy's an asshole. We know this. He's a bad dude. But Bullock even says something, I forget the first half of it, but he takes offense to the implication that Harvey's dirty or bad. Yeah. And he even says, of just kind of like, he may have, and I don't remember, but he's not dirty.
Yeah.
And he takes like a firm stance on that. And it's just one line, I know, but I think like, oh, but that, like, okay, so Bullock, there's still good in him. He can be swayed back over to the good side. And I know we didn't see it. It's implied that he killed Firebug.
Yeah.
But
I have, that's been my interpretation and my argument throughout this series. And I know there's some will go, oh, they did Harvey Bullock dirty in this series, but I don't go that far. Even if he was completely bad, I wouldn't say that about this interpretation. It's just it's this interpretation. I do think that he's not all the way in of dirty,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that
Yeah.
there is a bit of you know, the idealistic at one point probably cop that he was in
Yeah.
there. So
I don't have that just popped into my head. I also have it
yeah,
playing over here, and it was making me think of that. But
yeah,
um, do you like where the episode ended up then? Like
yes,
that last bit, him locked up and
absolutely, absolutely. And Barbara comes.
yeah,
Your your lawyer's here. You know,
yeah.
I don't have a
Like
lawyer, and it's just Barbara shows up,
yeah.
who's had issues with Harvey
Yep.
throughout.
And come to think of it now, I think it was him and Barbara about what you mentioned earlier of the let's do this for the
Okay,
publicity. I think
yeah,
it was her, which almost makes it even more like I don't know the term, but like feels it feels right that she's the one that
yeah,
shows up, and it's a good way to end because there's no chance in hell that I wasn't immediately after watching this the first time, immediately going into the next episode. Like, well,
hmm
play, yeah, next episode, let's go. Let's see how it ends.
yeah, yeah. It was good, and there was not a word of dialogue.
Yeah.
You know, she shows up to represent him, and it's after everything he's done.
Hmm.
You know, so and it's perfectly leads into episode 10,
Hmm.
which we'll talk about next. And I think this series, it was good throughout, but it really the I had some issues with. I wasn't a huge fan of the um, Nocturne episode with Soul Sucker,
Hmm.
Natalia Knight. But it's all right, But I thought that the dense stuff in there was really, really good. And I said as
Hmm.
much in my review. But yeah, I mean, it just all comes, there's just so much. And I mean, well, hell, it's
It
just, I
it
feel like
has
it's going to talk to 10, but
it has good like I just really recommend for people. I think it has really good replay value. You
yes.
know, in doing this, it didn't lump together my binge day of it all. It didn't lump together, but like definitely spreading it out on the second viewing, just really taking my time with it. Like it's been a really good rewatch for me as well. I'll say up to this point, I do think the Gentleman Ghost episode, like I'm not here to like completely shit on it or anything like that, but I think that will be the only one upon rewatch that I may even just be like, I don't know if I have to rewatch this one. And I could just like skip it. Nocturne, I've told you before of like it's the Harvey Dent stuff in that. Then the
Mhm.
Soul Sucker thing, I don't mind the Robin nods. I think for people that aren't aware, it's just names, so it's not completely distracting for us. I mean, opinions may
I
vary,
know. Yeah, I got a little bit
but
of like, it was just like beating the dead horse. I get it,
yeah,
Dickie. I don't want to get back to go,
yeah.
go back. We've
But
already
but
talked.
like
We talked about that episode.
the Harvey stuff in that episode, I mean, you
Yeah,
and I have said it off mic, and you
yeah.
just said it now too. Is like that makes that episode worth rewatching to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like, yeah, overall, I think it's just like it's a really good. I don't know, it's a really good series to just rewatch and get a little bit more. I didn't think this heavily of Batman choosing Harvey over jumping into the building to see if he could save a life thing until
Mm-hmm.
this. I didn't think about that the
I
first watch. I thought about it here, the rewatch. So it's interesting.
it's yeah. I think the rewatchability with this is very high. I'm like you. I like binged within a day and a half,
Hmm.
maybe. Started it and then finished the next morning. I think I got up and then we went back with Batman animation and watching these one by
Hmm.
one. And sometimes I watch it twice, three times, sometimes, before I talk about it. And I just think you see, I think it's a it's a layered. There's some depth to this series
Yeah. I was
that
just gonna
you
say
bet.
the day that it dropped, I grabbed a box of Fruity Pebbles, a 2-liter Mountain Dew, sat on the couch, said, "Let's ride."
It's like
And I did.
you know, there's some depth here and things that you may not pick up the first time, and you see the volume of it once you rewatch.
Yeah.
If that does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Sometimes
then
I don't make
the
sense.
next man, what are we gonna do? The next episode is Savage Night. It's the season finale of Caped Crusader, and then it's back to regular Batman animation. It's back
Yeah.
to the archives,
Yep.
pulling out random animated Batman episodes, which you and I still have a second Batman Scooby-Doo throwback
Yeah.
episode to do. So we've
Yeah.
got that in our
Yeah.
back pocket.
Yeah.
Also, Batman animation's been going hard, but
Well,
maybe it'll take a little bit of a break. I don't know.
hey, we'll do what we have to do. If we
Okay.
have to go and watch some Batman animated
Damn it.
series, well, by gosh, that's what we'll do. You know?
By golly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh heavens. I think we both just kind of gave final thoughts on this episode. I don't think we need to
Yeah.
rehash that. So there we go.
I like the Barbara showing up at the end a
Yep.
lot.
Yeah.
This is a
I
good
like
damn
this.
episode.
This is a good damn episode.
It was
A good
good.
damn episode.
It's
Yeah.
a good episode, you know?
Good one. Good version of Harvey Dent, Two-Face. And we're not done. We're seeing him in next episode. Talking about him next episode. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I hope we get a
this,
second season of this show.
That's we had to have to wait for it. Needed
Mhm.
maybe James Tucker let it slide, or someone will let it slide that when a release date is, but they've been working on it a while. I don't think it's going to be.
We're not gonna be waiting 4 years.
No.
They're up and the machine is up and running.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have absolutely no knowledge. My guess is going to be fall of next year.
Okay.
I don't know anything, but I'm just gonna make a guess of fall of next year. We'll see.
Okay. All right.
We'll see. All right,
Hopefully.
Bill, plug away.
Batman on Film. Batman-on-film.com. That's all I got. Go there.
Easy
Everything's
enough.
there.
Everything's
And
there.
I will say on the social hour,
Mhm.
we are following along with the Penguin.
Yeah.
And I got to get you on. You got to do a couple episodes. We got 6 left. So,
We
and the
got
thing
time.
about the Penguin, I do like the fact it's slow burn because one a week. You know, you get to build up
Yeah.
that anticipation.
Yes, absolutely. Some shows give me the binge. I wouldn't have been mad if Cape Crusader was weekly. I wouldn't have. It was just a bonus that I got it all at once. Penguin, I
Yeah.
think these dramas definitely spread them out. Definitely spread them out because that's a lot of material that like I could have only made my way through 4 episodes, but some prick online could give away the spoilers and stuff all over when you're not even looking for them. So I'm happy. Yeah, I'm glad that it's spread out. And maybe I'm on an island here, but like I didn't think that episode 2 started off a little slow. I know you and Pete both said that. Yeah, I think I've seen it elsewhere too. And I'm like,
You know what?
man, I think it like I may have liked it more than the first episode, and I loved the first episode. I just thought the second one was so good.
I said in my review, I liked it equally. It wasn't worse. And when I say it started out, when I say it was a little slow,
you guys weren't.
okay.
Yeah, you guys weren't
that's
shitting on
okay.
it by any means.
That's
I was just like,
okay.
oh man,
You
I thought
know,
I kicked in.
that was fine. It worked.
Yeah.
In this series, that episode, you know, just you compare that to the beginning of episode 1 when he kills Alberto Falcone, just boom, right off. Yeah, right off. Sorry, you haven't watched it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Watch the first 6 minutes of The Penguin season 1, episode 1, and then come back and listen to this.
So we got that. That's what's dominating the social hour right now. Is every week we'll talk about the Penguin episode, which is also we get this for what September. I mean, into November. Am I right?
Yeah, I think like November 10th.
There.
It gets slated to come out like it's no gaps. 8 like.
So we get
boom every Sunday.
We get 2 months basically of the Batman saga stuff. And also I hypothesized, Ryan, are we building up to, is it possible we're building up to Batmania 4 with the Batman Part 2?
You and I read that article on BOF. I won't say anything about it here. You and I talked about quite a while ago, after the Batman, maybe when you and I were doing chapter by chapter even, that the pieces are in play to build up to. We didn't say Batmania, but we did say it's very similar to how Batman Begins began, no pun intended, of kind of like creating this world. I'd say that the Batman was maybe more successful financially, in exposure than Batman Begins, but like people getting more familiar with it, that it could lead to a massive deal, like a really big deal.
Yeah.
So
I
hope so.
Batmania is not easy to obtain. You can't create it.
One thing you said in the article is that it has to be like organic. And I completely agree with that, because I think too many things have tried to force something to be a big deal. And that's not how it works. It just has to happen. And like the examples you said of the Batmanias, Batman's kind of the only one that's had them. That's why it's Batmania. I'm waiting for the Jonah Hex mania, but we'll see. You know, maybe maybe one day.
Let's ride.
Maybe one day. Let's ride.
Yeah.
Let me plug away quick and say my podcast, The Batman Book Club. The most recent episode has old Boudin Pockets, Peter Vera, on to talk about the new Batman comics that came out in September. I've also got on Batman on Film reviews recently for The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, #1, and then brand new issue this week of Batman 153. They're on batman-on-film.com.
Yes, you do. There you go.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, anything else, Bill? Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Now it's Rachel. Let's go. Take us out.
Thanks for listening to Batmanimation, a BatmanOnFilm.com podcast revisiting the animated TV and film adventures of the Caped Crusader. Follow Batmanimation on Twitter @Batmanimation. Follow BOF on Twitter @TheBatmanOnFilm. Follow Jett on Twitter @BatmanOnFilm. For Jett and Team BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive, the original, established in 1998.